the sum of the squares of the sides of a right triangle equals the square of the hypotenuse. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Someone just looking at a diagram of the problem can pretty much assume it's true. A no-brainer, as they say. So prove it. Easier said than done, isn't it? That problem confounded scholars for ages, until Pythagoras became, allegedly, the first to prove it. Today, it still confounds high school geometry students everywhere. Imagine then how happy Pythagoras must have been when he finally solved the problem known today as the Pythagorean theorem, or the 47th problem of Euclid. Anderson's Constitutions gives this account. The greater Pythagoras provided the author of the 47th proposition of Euclid, first book, which, if duly observed, is the foundation of all masonry, sacred, civil, and military. And in the third degree lecture, this wise philosopher, Pythagoras, enriched his mind abundantly in a general knowledge of things, and more especially in geometry or masonry. On this subject he drew out many problems and theorems, and among the most distinguished he erected this, when, in the joy of his heart, he exclaimed Eureka, in the Greek language signifying, I have found it, and upon the discovery of which he is said to have sacrificed a hecatomb. It teaches Masons to be general lovers of the arts and sciences. Let's leave the actual proof to the geometricians, while concentrating on another problem. He sacrificed what the heck is a hecatomb? It's not a word you hear in everyday conversation, and in fact I had never heard it before I witnessed a third-degree lecture. In context, I assumed it to be some kind of animal. After all, Pythagoras sacrificed it. Maybe, I thought, it's a mammal, now extinct, perhaps something resembling a wild boar, only the size of a rhinoceros. Yeah, that's it, a wild hecatomb. Not even close. Animal sacrifice to the gods was a common practice in ancient Greece. On occasion, the ceremony took on much more auspicious meaning to the point it required a major statement. In these cases, the Greeks sacrificed as many as 100 animals, usually cattle, and generally followed that with a feast. The sacrifice and feast was a hecatomb. Its history is somewhat elusive, and there remain only a few documented instances of such ceremonies. Homer's Iliad describes one in detail. Sandrine Huber, professor of classical archaeology at the University of Lorraine in France, said, "The landscape of the Greek hecatombs is a religious and civic landscape. In some cases of pan-Hellenic importance, it involves numerous and simultaneous sacrificial animals. It is a soundscape, an olfactive landscape, and finally, a gustative landscape." In other words, it's noisy and smelly, but can result in one should I say hecatomb, of a big barbecue. Proving the theorem that today bears his name was a big deal to Pythagoras, and so was his reaction to it. He sacrificed a hecatomb. For the Whence Came You podcast, this is Steve Harrison with the Masonic Minute.